Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be recreating the Greek goddesses in The Sims 4. Now we're not recreating every single one of them, we're just recreating about 6 of them. So we're first starting out with Amphitrite. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a Nereid, don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly, but it just means sea nymph. And through her marriage to Poseidon, she is the goddess and queen of the sea. Greek Goddesses Wiki describes her as a very competitive person and she wants to keep peace in the ocean. Her true form is beautiful and youthful. She can also shapeshift into different forms. Now, when I was making her, I was trying my absolute best not to give her like mermaid features, and that's sort of why. But I didn't want her, I didn't want her to look exactly like a mermaid, but I did want to give her some like oceanic vibes to her. That's why you see me putting on like this purpley blue iridescent type of eyeshadow, and I wanted her to look a little bit more majestic. I don't know why, like I had a vision for her, and that this is just like what I had planned. And then I gave her purpley blue lips, which wasn't the original plan because I felt like it would maybe look a little too much like or give a little too much of a mermaid vibe, but I still ended up keeping it just because it works so well, and I stick to this color theme for her outfit as well. And so yeah, when I'm looking for her hair later on, I was looking for something that was a little bit more flowy, something that looked like it was already like blowing in the wind. And yeah, actually I also tried using like braids or maybe something a little bit more wavy just to give that more sea like look, because you know you have beach waves. And so yeah, so I tried out a bunch of hairs, and also this one will go by really fast because I did film this. She was the first one I filmed, but then when I stopped recording, it didn't record. Look, I'm trying my absolute best. I thought I fixed it. I was recording, I was test recording, it seemed fine, but then when I opened the game, it wasn't working properly while I was charging. So I just decided to redo it all. And the first outfit I gave her was not the same thing as what I'm giving her right now. And I know I use this skirt a lot, but look, it's my favorite. It's my most like favorite fantasy type of skirt that I have as a CC. I don't know, it's just like it's my favorite skirt to like dress up and dress down. And I know this outfit doesn't necessarily lean into Greek goddesses, but honestly it gives the vibes of, I guess, a sea nymph. But yeah, I don't know, she's the only one I think that doesn't necessarily lean into the Greek goddess typical stereotypical type of outfit, and I kind of love it. I really do. It's a little bit more of a modern take, but it's cute nonetheless. And the top is just really like, it gives the sea vibes so well, and I really love it. And for her characteristics, I did make her honestly, right now I can't remember what that aspiration is, but I did make her good. I did make her child of the island and child of the ocean, so whichever one is which. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, anyway, I really love everything about this outfit. It's really blue, but to be honest, when I think of sea, when I think of ocean, blue is all I think about, really. And I mean, what else would you think of? I love the outfit. I love the accessories that I use. There's this like arm bracelet that's literally just water drops, and it's so fun, so cute. And there's this mermaid accessory that I use on her waist. It's kind of funky. a completely different vibe from what I usually go for. Actually, no, it's not, but it's completely unique, and I love it. So here, the screenshot. I don't know why the color grading is completely different when it's the same preset that I'm using on all the rest of the videos. I don't know why the screenshots look darker. So yeah, anyway, now we're moving on to Aphrodite. Right away, I knew what I wanted. I knew that I wanted to make her a ginger just because of the painting of Venus, which, if you didn't know, Venus and Aphrodite are the same thing, but I think Venus is the Roman name. Anyway, let me tell you more about her. She is the goddess and personification. Personification. Guys, I don't know how to pronounce words anymore. I'm like bilingual, so I don't properly pronounce things sometimes. But she's the personification of beauty, love, sex, pleasure, passion, and procreation. And she's a member of the 12 Olympians in Greek mythology. Now, Aphrodite takes the form of a human woman and is described as the most attractive goddess. She is usually depicted as being incredibly, supremely, and infinitely beautiful. So for her personality, she is extremely vain, witty, self-absorbed, cunning, jealous, self-centered, but also very passionate and intelligent. She likes to be recognized as the most beautiful being in the entire world. So for her, I focused a lot more on her face. And that's sort of why I give her like a very natural minimal makeup type of look. And you'll also see, and I give her an outfit that's very showy because I believe in Greek Goddesses Wiki, they say that she likes to wear revealing clothing items, and so that just like sort of stuck into my mind, and I played into that. So yeah, Aphrodite growing up, she was my favorite Greek goddess. Like, I was reading this whole book about Greek mythology. I can't remember what it's called, but I believe it has like Hermes. I can't remember if it's Hermes, but it had Hermes in the front of in the cover of the book, and it was my favorite thing to read. And then I also got into Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, but then I didn't read the rest of the books. I think I stopped on like the third book or halfway through the third book, and I never picked it up again. But yeah, she was my favorite alongside Athena, and I don't know what that says about me, but I think it says a lot. And it got me thinking, while I was doing this whole video, it got me thinking, what if EA creates a Greek gods pack? Like, imagine you're hanging out with Zeus and you piss him off and he just strikes you with a lightning bolt. Like, oh my god, that would be so funny. Which, speaking of lightning bolts, have you guys listened to Sabrina Carpenter's new album? I love her new album. House Tour, Go-Go Juice, and Tears, my absolute favorite. I'm also starting to really, really like My Man on Willpower. The songs are so good, and she's just so clever with her words and making them a little bit more dirty. I don't know, I just really love that. I have a green mind, so I really vibe with it. But yeah, anyway, we're going back into the video. You'll see that the head accessory, the head piece, I guess, that I'm using here, I do end up changing it because I end up using it on somebody else. And I do change it into a snake just in sort of an homage to Medusa and what Aphrodite does to Medusa later on in her life. Because if you didn't know, Medusa and Poseidon, I believe, fucked in Athena's tower or whatever temple. And so Aphrodite just cursed her with the snake hair and everything. I did also kind of want to make Medusa, but then I just like, I got so tired. This video took me 4 hours. So yeah, here are the screenshots. She looks amazing. Alright, so we're moving on to Athena. She is the virgin goddess of wisdom, warfare, and handicraft, also a member of the 12 Olympians. On Greek Goddesses Wiki, Athena is described to be a determined, strategic, tactical, stubborn, boastful, careful, brave, caring, proud, vain, creative, artistic, wise, loving, kind, and generous person. She does not care about beauty and is well known for her intelligence and talents, being the wisest of all the gods on Mount Olympus. It's also described that she is very beautiful and that at birth, grown men drop to their knees in front of her, and Helios was so impressed with her looks that he came to a complete stop in the middle of the sky. Right, so I'm just deeping that. I read this the other day when I was making the video, right? And I just deeped that at birth part, and that's crazy. That's wild. Anyway, so while I was making her, I know it would make a lot more sense to make her have natural makeup as well, just because, you know, like I mentioned earlier, it's described that she doesn't really care for beauty, but I still gave her like a heavy makeup look nevertheless, just because I just, you know, I felt like it. Honestly, I still wanted her to, well, anyway, whatever. I had a vision in mind where I wanted to give her like this armor or whatever, but it didn't work out with this skirt because the top that I was gonna use, it reminded me so much of armory, and I thought it would work really well, but for one, it didn't have the right color that I wanted, and two, the skirt did not go well, and so I ended up using this dress that was intended for Athena anyway, which shout out to that creator because I love their gowns so much, and because of them I'm thinking I want to recreate Alphaba and Glinda in The Sims as well, like later on before part 2 comes out of Wicked. But anyway, yeah, shout out to them, they're amazing. But anyway, yeah, so right now you're seeing the outfit that I was going to use for her, but it just I hated it. Not, well, hate is such a strong word, but it didn't vibe with her. It just wasn't the right, it didn't turn out the way I had planned, and it didn't turn out the way that like I wanted it to be. And then I decided, like, I was thinking about using pants on her as well, but it just didn't really vibe that well, I think. And so I ended up using the dress, like I said, and somehow it works out a lot better anyway, and it looks a lot more like an armory, to be honest with you. I also did love the little like gold bodysuit that I had on like 2 seconds ago, but it was, I don't know, it was just too plain and I didn't know how to style that. But yeah, here we are. I should have given her like a shield or something, or like an actual sword, or maybe even books to hold, but I didn't think about that, and I felt like I would just delete them right away. I wanted to have accessories that I could use later on in another video. But yeah, here she is. She's really cute. Vibe with her so hard. So now we're moving on to Artemis. She is the virgin goddess of the moon, the hunt, archery, the wilderness, wild animals, nature, vegetation, childbirth, chastity, and midwifery, as well as the patron and protector of girls who watched over them until they married. That was a long description. But anyway, it's described that her appearance was that of an eternally young, beautiful woman wearing a knee-length robe that leaves her legs free. She carries a bow and arrows everywhere. Her bow is in the shape of a crescent moon. Artemis is strong, loyal, brave, blunt, impulsive, encouraging, daring, witty, and independent. She takes pride in being the most tough of the goddesses. And she is also described to be a formidable warrior. I love Artemis down bad, honestly. Maybe down bad is a little too much, but I love her. I vibe with her so hard now that I'm adult. Now that I'm an adult, like I vibe with the fact that that the moon is like her symbol and that she loves the bow and arrow. Honestly, I went to this like toy bow and arrow thing in the mall, and I only went there twice and I had a fun time. Honestly, felt like Katniss Everdeen. Honestly, I wanted Chris Pine to be behind me. And you know what? Yeah, I get Artemis. Anyway, let me move on before I start thirsting over yet another white man. Anyway, so I didn't really have a vision for what I wanted her to wear, to be honest with you. I was kind of relying on the dresses. I downloaded a lot, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, I didn't have anything in mind for what I wanted her to wear because somehow Athena and Artemis sort of give me warrior. They're both like warriors in my mind. And so I used up all my warrior creativity on Athena, and I didn't know what else to give Artemis. But I did want to include the moon somehow, and I think I did with her earrings, but I wanted to include it a little bit more in my initial thought process of when I was planning the outfits for each of the girls. But yeah, anyway, I think this is as modest as I could go for her. I did make her look youthful, I think, at least. I think she has somewhat of a classic beauty to her, and I really love that for myself. Not to like give myself a pat on the back, not to like have a really big ego, but yeah, I think, but honestly, at the same time, too, I think she looks very similar to the last sim that I created in the One Base 5 Sims video. She looks super similar to that coquette girl that I made. I really need to, like, I try my best to make them all look different, but I do have a facial shape preference, and I do try my best to just leave the face alone when I get a random generated sim. But yeah, anyway, here she is. She looks cute. I wish I picked out a different hair, to be honest, so that the earrings could be seen just a bit more, but yeah, I think that's great. I think she looks cute. And the gladiator shoes were knee length, so just to compensate for the fact that her dress was a little too short. So yeah. So for our penultimate Greek goddess, we have Hestia. She is the virgin goddess of the hearth, the home, the state, and domesticity, who is also associated with cooking, virginity, as well as sacred and sacrificial fire. She was a founding member of the 12 Olympians who passed her place to Dionysus, the god of wine. In Greek art, Hestia was often depicted as a young woman with modest clothing and a head covering. Sometimes she was depicted with a veil, which was common for Greek women. She is a quiet, loyal, benevolent, pacifistic, caring goddess, and the most peaceful and humble deity of the Greek pantheon, who spends most of her time at home tending to the sacred fire of Mount Olympus, rarely leaving her property and avoiding conflict with others. Can I be so honest? I did not know she existed. That is so stupid, but I didn't know she was a thing in Greek mythology. I didn't know. And that's mainly my fault because I did focus a lot on the more popular ones like Aphrodite, Athena, Artemis, Apollo. Zeus, Poseidon, Hera, etc. And that's fine. It's my fault. I take accountability for not picking up a book in the last how many years. But anyway, yeah, when I was creating her, I well, this is also when I found out that she was the symbol of the sun, and I knew that somebody had the symbol of the sun in Greek mythology. I knew there was sun, and I knew there was moon, or maybe not sun but fire, and turns out it was Hestia. So she is who I gave the spiky headpiece to. Anyway, so I got really distracted when I was creating her because at some point I said she looks a little too much like Shakira. Like I don't know if she looks like her exactly, but like she has some resemblance to Shakira from Love Island, UK version, the original version, not USA. She looks so much like Shakira. I got so distracted and I was like, do I want to change the way that she looks? But at the same time, Shakira is so gorgeous and I don't want to do that. I think she looks perfectly fine. Honestly, that's fine. We have a lot of doppelgangers here on Earth for some reason. And yeah, so I gave her a pretty simple outfit. I believe she was described to be modest. Yes, yeah. Do you see how my memory is so forgetful? I already forgot everything I ever said about her, and that was just like 2 minutes ago. Anyway, so yeah, here she is. She's very modest, she's very simple, and I think it worked out well. Maybe I could have used red on her or something a little bit more fiery, but I think she still looks cute. Okay, so we're moving on to our last and final sim, our last and final Greek goddess, which is Hera. She is the goddess of women, marriage, marital harmony, childbirth, and family, as well as the protector of women during childbirth, and a founding member of the 12 Olympians. She was made the Queen of Gods through her marriage to Zeus and rules beside him on Mount Olympus. Hera is described to be bold, clever, powerful, and assertive, but also jealous, vain, wrathful, and short-tempered. Hera is also indicated as being mean and intimidating. So for her appearance, she is usually represented in art as a stately woman crowned in a robe wearing a headdress and wielding a scepter. She was sometimes depicted with a peacock or even riding in a peacock-drawn chariot. Keep in mind the peacock thing, okay? Because that's all that was in my mind. I stuck with the peacock theme. I stuck with the colors of a peacock, which is usually blue and purple, I believe. I did not look up a reference of a peacock. Maybe I should have, but I was just going off of memory, and that is the inspiration for her outfit. I do try and make 2 different outfits just because I wanted to see which one I liked more. Like, did I like the one that was more peacocky or did I like the one that was a little bit more Greek goddess-like? Sorry, I'm like getting ahead of myself, but yeah, you'll see later on that I do end up sticking to the peacocky theme. However, I just want to say, I think that Hera is the most Greek-like or Greek-looking. I don't know, maybe not, but I think because of the curly hair that I use later on, I think she does look the most Greek-esque, Greek goddess-esque, just because of her facial features and her hair, and a little bit too on the outfit. Honestly, I feel like I succeeded. Maybe I should have given her a crown or something. Maybe I should have downloaded a peacock or feather type of CC just to represent that a little better, just so it transpires a little better with her lore, but like, I don't know. I do end up liking her the most, to be honest with you. I do. I really do. Because I think it's one of the more creative ones, the one that's a little bit more out of something that you wouldn't really see when you see a Greek goddess painting, I think. But I don't know. Maybe it is something similar to what you would see. I don't look at a lot of paintings anymore. I haven't looked at a painting in like 5 years since I graduated. No, I only graduated 3 years ago. Oh my god. Time is a slippery slope. Oh my gosh. But anyway, yeah. She is a little bit more simple as well. She doesn't have too much accessories on her. Not as much as Aphrodite, I think, and not as much as Athena, which is weird because Athena should be a little bit more on the simple side, but I don't know what I was thinking, honestly, with the whole bunch of bangles with Athena versus Hera. But yeah, anyway, I feel like they worked out anyway. I feel like they're so different from one another. I feel like I feel like you can tell who's who. Maybe not with Artemis. Maybe you might get a little confused with Artemis and maybe Hestia. I'm not sure, but I think they all look kind of unique, especially with like the way that they look in their face. And yeah, I think from this video you can tell that facial features are more like my strong suit. I do keep the second dress anyway, but I vibe with the green skirt and the purple top that I end up using for Hera, and I think she looks amazing, guys. I don't know what else to tell you, but yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. It would mean the world to me if you could help me get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So yeah, bye.